Hey yo, ATL, stand up. You're locked in with the livest, realest, rawest talk in the game. This is the Bro Code Podcast ATL, where the culture talks back, the vibes stay heavy, and the code always respected. Don't touch that dial. Keep it right here, because we breaking the code live from the A.
Check, 1 2 1 2. Live across the universe.
Check it out.
Ladies and gentlemen,
It's about that time, y'all.
you are now in the mix. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Broco Podcast. ATL Mark Monroe back on your any audio platforms you get your podcast from. Here's the latest in WNBA news. Napheesa Collier left the court at Gainbridge Fieldhouse on July 19th with a WNBA All-Star Game record 36 points and the MVP trophy. The Minnesota Lynx forward looked likely to add a bigger honour at season's end, the league's MVP award. The WNBA will announce the winner Sunday. But in perhaps the biggest shift in the narrative around the MVP award in league history, what appeared to be a foregone conclusion 2 months ago has turned into a hotly contested race. Will Collier win her first MVP? Or will Las Vegas Aces center A'ja Wilson become the first WNBA player to win the honor 4 times? After the All-Star break, an August 2 injury cost Collier the next 7 games. During that absence, the Aces went unbeaten, with Wilson leading them to an eventual 16-game winning streak to end the regular season. Phoenix Mercury forward Alyssa Thomas had 8 triple-doubles in the regular season and also deserves consideration, but the MVP debate largely narrowed to Wilson versus Collier, who returned August 24. The number 1 seed Lynx and number 2 seed Aces have advanced to the WNBA semi-finals, but the playoffs have no bearing on MVP. Award ballots had to be cast 2 days before the postseason began. ESPN picked Wilson to win MVP earlier this month, but which player most impressed the largest number of voters on the media panel? Let's look at how the battle for MVP played out as one of the signature storylines of the 2025 season. May 7th, Wilson was number 1 in ESPN's pre-season ranking of the top 25 players in the WNBA. Recounting Wilson's 2024 season, we wrote, she won her 3rd MVP award with career-high averages in points, rebounds, blocks, and steals. Her 26.9 scoring average was the highest for any season in league history. She made the All-WNBA and All-Defensive first teams. May 16th, on the opening night of the 2025 season, Collier scored what ended up being a season-high 34 points. She averaged 26.8 points on 52. We wrote, for the first time, Collier tops our rankings after submitting a first half that has her in pole position for MVP. Collier leads the WNBA in scoring by more than 3 points per game and is a leading contender to repeat as Defensive Player of the Year. July 19th, Team Collier beat Team Caitlin Clark 151-131 at the All-Star Game in Indianapolis. The number 2 vote-getter behind Clark in All-Star fan balloting, Collier stole the show as she made 13 of 16 shots and had 9 rebounds, along with her 36 points. Wilson had a quiet All-Star game, playing 12 minutes and scoring 4 points. July 25th. Collier had 25 points and 9 rebounds on July 25th as Minnesota won 109-78, beating Las Vegas for the second time this season and moving to 22-4. Wilson had 15 points and 7 rebounds as the Aces dropped to 12-13. August 2. Collier had 18 points and 5 assists as Minnesota clobbered Las Vegas 111-58 in the team's 3rd meeting, the largest road victory, 53 points, in WNBA history. However, Collier suffered a right ankle sprain in the 3rd quarter and missed the next 7 games. That opened the door for Wilson's MVP challenge. August 3. The night of the loss to Minnesota, Wilson told her teammates via text that they needed to atone for the embarrassing defeat. The next day, the Aces' winning streak started. Wilson had 14 points and 14 rebounds as the Aces beat Golden State by 24 points. August, 10. Wilson scored 32 points on 13 for 25 shooting, the first of 8 games during the winning streak in which she scored 30 or more points, as the Aces beat Connecticut 94-86. August, 13 to 15. Wilson had a combined 47 points and 32 rebounds in back-to-back victories against New York and Phoenix, 2 of the teams challenging Las Vegas for the number 2 seed. That gave the Aces 6 wins in a row and 20 on the season, but a lot more was to come. August 19. Wilson had 32 points and 12 rebounds in a key 74-72 win over Atlanta, another team vying for the number.
Thanks, Mark. More on the show. So little went right for the Indiana Fever this season. Star Caitlin Clark was limited to just 13 games because of injury before being ruled out for the year. Prized free agent acquisition Dewana Bonner left mid-season. 4 other players suffered season-ending injuries, and a 5th has been sidelined to start the playoffs because of a concussion. But in Thursday's first-round winner-take-all Game 3 on the road, Indiana finally had things break its way. Despite trailing for over 29 minutes, the number 6 seed Fever held the number 3 seed Dreams scoreless in the final 2:30 and finished the game on a 7-0 run to shock Atlanta 87-85 and reach the semifinals for the first time since 2015. Trailing by 1 point with less than 15 seconds left, the Fever's Aaliyah Boston nearly turned it over, with the Dreams' Brianna Jones and Jordan Canada in close proximity. Kelsey Mitchell corralled the loose ball as Jones fell to the floor, delaying her ability to recover on defense. The broken play resulted in Odyssey Sims passing to Boston, whose layup, with 7.4 seconds remaining, gave the Fever their first lead since early in the second period. On Atlanta's next possession, Lexi Hull read the inbounds play and jumped in front of Canada for the steal. Sims went 1 for 2 from the free throw line with 1.2 seconds left, but Jones's last-ditch shot at the buzzer was no good. I said before the game started it was going to be a gut-check type of game, said Mitchell, who had 24 points Thursday and was the leading scorer in every game this series. We could have easily given up. We played them here in Atlanta, a lot of factors, the fans, and we didn't. Added Natasha Howard, I can't put it in words, I'm just speechless right now. Just how we fought through this whole game. The Fever will face the number 2 seed Las Vegas Aces, winners of 18 of their past 19 games in a best-of-5 semifinal series that begins Sunday. A month ago, when Clark's return was in question and Arie McDonald, Sydney Colson, and Sophie Cunningham went down because of season-ending injuries, a semifinals appearance for the Fever seemed far-fetched. Even a playoff berth was hardly guaranteed. And overcoming a 7-point halftime deficit in Game 3 to beat the odds with such a short-handed group. This group is just really special, Fever coach Stephanie White said. I mean, we say it pretty much ad nauseum, but it's the resilience, the flexibility, the welcoming, inclusive nature of this team, their selflessness to pull for the we over the me, the ability to let each teammate be who they are and shine at their best and to lift them up. You couple that with the resilience, the toughness, the grit, the fight, the scrappiness, and you always give yourself a chance. Atlanta controlled most of the game thanks to a fast-paced first half, in which it dominated the paint, 40 points, and scored 56 points overall. Nearly as many as the team finished with in Game 2, 60. Despite trailing, Indiana stayed within striking distance, never letting the Dream lead by more than 8. The Fever tightened their defense after the break, limiting Atlanta to just 29 points in the final 20 minutes, as many as the Dream scored in the second quarter. The Fever saved their best for last, holding Atlanta to 0 for 3 shooting, and forcing 3 turnovers in the final 2 minutes and 30 seconds of the game. The Dream finished 6 for 23 from the three-point arc, had 14 turnovers, and went to the free throw line 11 times, while the Fever finished with 24 free throw attempts. "I think we just got stagnant," Canada said of the second half. "We weren't moving the ball like we were in the first half. We were taking a lot of bad shots, and we were also rushing as well. And then we had some timely turnovers that they capitalized on." Mitchell and the Fever's 4 other starters each scored in double figures in the win. "We've been punched and punched and punched and punched and punched," said Brianna Turner, whose defense in her 18 minutes off the bench was crucial. "We perform well with our backs against the wall." The last time the Fever were in the semifinals, White was the coach, and Howard, one of their big free agent signees from this offseason, was on the team as a second-year pro. "I'm just so excited that we're back here, and with this group of young women," Howard said. "And the job's not done yet."
Hey yo, ATL, stand up. You're locked in with the livest, realest, rawest talking the game. This is the Bro Code Podcast ATL, where the culture talks back, the vibes stay heavy, and the code always respected. Don't touch that dial. Keep it right here, because we breaking the code live from the A.
All right, Tyler, man, I gotta ask. We're just, 2 weeks into the 2025 season, and it already feels like the injury bug has just absolutely devoured the quarterback position. I mean, it's wild, right?
Marcus, it's not just wild, it's a bona fide disaster for some teams. I mean, whoa, it's kind of unprecedented, ain't it? You got Joe Burrow, J.J. McCarthy, Justin Fields. All those guys are just flat out for week 3. And then, you look at Brock Purdy and Jaden Daniels, they're both sitting there questionable. I mean, my goodness, the backups are going to have to earn their keep, this Sunday.
Yeah, it's really something else. I mean, when you look at those names, these aren't just, your average QBs. These are cornerstone guys for their franchises. So, how much of a ripple effect do you genuinely think this has this early? Because it's not week 10, it's week 3. It's pretty early for this kind of chaos, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge impact, Marcus. You think about the Bengals, for example, right? Jake Browning, he's got to step in there. And honestly, the Vikings are going to be running with Carson Wentz. It just completely changes the entire dynamic of these games. Teams got to adapt on the fly. And frankly, some of these backups, well, they're going to surprise folks, I think. Others might be in for a rough ride.
Speaking of surprising folks, let's talk about the Rams at Eagles. Both 2-0, but the Eagles, Tyler, they've started 2-0 with a single passing touchdown. I mean, what are we even watching here? It's kind of incredible, isn't it?
Isn't it, though? Wow. It's wild. It's been since 2010 that a team has done that. But the thing is, Jalen Hurts, he's just a winner, right? That's what Sean McVay said. And I totally agree. He's beaten you with his arm, his legs, his mind. I mean, he's just finding ways. And honestly, the big story here, well, it's Saquon Barkley, man.
Yeah, Barkley. I remember last season, the Rams just could not stop him. He was absolutely gashing them for over 400 yards in 2 matchups. Do you think they figured out a way to, contain him, or is it going to be another Saquon show?
Oh, I'm telling you, it's gonna be a Saquon show. The Eagles' left tackle, Jordan Mailata, he was saying they see opportunity when the Rams load the box. It ain't cockiness, it's just their scheme. And Walter's bold prediction is Barkley's going to get at least 25 rushing attempts. I mean, that's just a ton of carries, But the Rams, they kind of encourage teams to run against him. So Saquon's going to be eating good this Sunday, I'm telling you.
25 carries. That's a lot. Switching gears a bit, the Packers and Browns game, Green Bay's run game has struggled a bit, And now they're facing the league's #1 rushing defense in Cleveland. And of course, the Browns are hyper aware of Micah Parsons from the Packers. Like, can Josh Jacobs, get anything going there?
Man, it's going to be tough, Marcus. I mean, Cleveland's only given up, 92 rushing yards total in 2 games? That's just insane. And you got Parsons on the other side, who, when he's on the field, opponent QBR is like 14. Off the field, it jumps to 60. So, I mean, he's just disrupting everything. It's going to be a defensive battle, I'm telling you. And that leads me to something else that's just blowing my mind. The Chiefs, man. 2 games in, 0-2? Patrick Mahomes 0-2? That's just wild to even say out loud.
It is. It's unheard of for Mahomes. They're facing the Giants who, they're 0-2 themselves. But the Giants' defensive line, Dexter Lawrence, he's saying they don't look at Kansas City any differently. Like, that talent doesn't just disappear. Is this a must-win for Kansas City? And can they get that run game going to, alleviate some pressure?
It's an absolute must-win. I mean, Chris Jones, he's talking about turnovers. They haven't gotten any yet. They need to give Mahomes the ball back. And here's a little nugget. Walter's bold prediction is the Chiefs will actually record positive EPA per designed carry. I mean, that'd be a huge step for him because the Giants defense, they're second worst in EPA allowed per designed carry. So, like, maybe this is the week they finally get it together, on the ground.
Interesting. So the Chiefs might actually run the ball effectively. That's a wild thought. Let's talk fantasy, Tyler, because with all these injuries, people are scrambling. Are there any deep sleepers or waiver wire gems you're looking at for week 3, especially with what's happening with these QBs?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you got to look at Emeka Egbuka for the Bucks. He's playing more snaps than Mike Evans, running similar routes. He's looking like a 1B to Evans 1A. I mean, that's just wild for a rookie. And then you got Quinshon Judkins for the Browns. He missed all camp, but he's already handled 10 rushing attempts, so his workload is definitely going up. But here's the kicker. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, right? Austin Eckler's out for the Commanders' Achilles injury. Krosky-Merritt, he's looking like the lead back there, Marcus. I'm telling you.
Wow. So a lot of new faces stepping up, especially in those backfields. What about any other bold predictions that really caught your eye? Maybe on the defensive side or for some of those receivers that you wouldn't normally consider.
Well, Walder, he's got one that's just going to make some Lions fans, want to pull their hair out. He's predicting Lions cornerback Terrion Arnold is going to allow at least 80 yards and a touchdown to Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman. I mean, Arnold's allowed 3.2 yards per coverage snap. That's like the highest in the league. And if that happens, that's just going to be a rough day for Detroit's secondary, especially going up against that explosive Ravens offense, It's a big call, but the stats, they don't lie there.
Man, that would be a rough one for Arnold. Let's look at Monday Night Football. Lions at Ravens. High matchup rating, 90.1, the highest on the slate this week. Tyler, this feels like it's going to be an absolute barn burner, especially with, the Ravens and Lamar Jackson at home. And his record against the NFC, it's just wild, right?
Oh, it's absolutely wild, Marcus. Lamar Jackson, he's 24-2 against NFC teams. I mean, that's since 70. That's just unheard of. And he's 2-0 against the Lions specifically with 5 touchdowns, only 1 pick. I mean, the man just dominates them. But, Jared Goff, he's no slouch either. Both of them are tied for the most passing touchdowns in the league with 6 each. So this game's got one of the highest over-unders on the slate, and I think it's going to go over. I really do.
So you think we're going to see a lot of points. The Lions, Dan Campbell, he's not forgotten that embarrassing 38-6 loss to the Ravens in 2023. Do you think that's fueling them at all? Or is Lamar just, too much to handle, especially at home on Monday night?
Oh, it's definitely fueling them. I mean, Scotty Montgomery, the receivers coach, he said the physicality of this game is going to be high, and they've got to do a lot better. But I just don't know, Marcus. Lamar's he's just got that unpredictable style. You don't face him regularly, and he just finds a way to pick you apart. I think the Ravens, they take this one, but it's going to be a fun game to watch for sure. Lots of fireworks, I'm telling you.
All right, fireworks indeed. So, taking a step back, Tyler, what's like the biggest takeaway from all these early season trends, especially as we head into week 3? I mean, besides the quarterback injuries, which is obviously a huge one, anything else, really jumping out to you?
Oh man, Marcus, the biggest thing for me, honestly, it's the underdogs. I mean, you look at the Cardinals, right? They're 2-0, but they've been outgained by at least 25 yards in both games. That's just wild. And they've covered 5 straight games as underdogs. The Panthers, they've covered 5 straight as home dogs. I mean, it's just showing that like the parity in this league it's just incredible. Any given Sunday, right? It really feels like that this year more than ever.
Yeah, it feels like it's wide open, especially with those, those big names going down. So, like for the fans out there, what's one piece of advice you'd give them heading into week 3 just to navigate all this craziness?
Well, Marcus, I'd say don't get too comfortable, you know? What you think you know one week, it's going to be totally different the next. Embrace the chaos, man, and keep an eye on those injury reports, because those backups, they're going to be making some noise. And hey, always root for the underdog. That's my motto this season, you know? It's going to be a fun ride. We're going to see some upsets, and I'm just like here for it.
Hey yo, ATL, stand up. You're locked in with the livest, realest, rawest talking the game. This is the Bro Code Podcast ATL, where the culture talks back, the vibes stay heavy, and the code always respected. Don't touch that dial. Keep it right here, because we breaking the code live from the A.
College football week 4 brings a board full of numbers that look tempting at first glance. But dig a little deeper and the edges start to reveal themselves. Some of these matchups hinge on mismatches in the trenches, others on pace and red zone execution, and a few are simply about trusting what we already know. I saw this and caught myself saying out loud, why? Because Tulsa lost 45-10 last year? Different team. Oklahoma State was up just 17-7 at the half against UT Martin, and then got bulldozed the following week by Oregon. This is not just a slow start. The concerns were there all summer. Overhauled coaching staff, heavy reliance on transfers, no proven quarterback, and an offensive line without a single returning starter. Those problems don't get fixed in 2 games, and so far, the results line up. The run game is stuck at 3.2 yards per carry, and the passing attack has thrown more interceptions than touchdowns. Tulsa is not flashy, but it's functional with a ground game that already has 19 runs of 10 yards or more. And the sneaky part is that Tulsa has the second best pass rush grade by PFF, even with only 8 sacks in 3 games. The Golden Hurricane are winning battles up front, even if it hasn't fully shown in the box score yet. That could show up against the Cowboys, where Zane Flores has been sacked twice in each game. Oklahoma State should look better at home in a rivalry spot, but the efficiency gap is real. Tulsa has edges in the trenches and enough offense to keep this tight. This is me taking my preseason read, watching it come to life, and fading Oklahoma State until it proves me wrong. Time to ride the Hurricane. I wouldn't be shocked if they win plus 380. Iowa at Rutgers Friday. Bet to make under 45.5. Rutgers has put up flashy passing numbers through 3 weeks, but I don't buy that its air attack is truly a tier above what Iowa State showed. The Cyclones threw it 27 times against Iowa and came away with just 134 yards on 5 yards per attempt. That is the kind of suffocating drag Iowa's defense creates. The Hawkeyes are built on a top 10 PFF pass rush grade, generating enough pressure to collapse pockets, force quarterbacks into short throws, and take away explosive plays. That style matches perfectly against a Rutgers offense that has thrived on efficiency and rhythm. Add in Iowa's red zone defense, where opponents have only 5 trips all season and 3 total touchdowns, and it is hard to picture Rutgers lighting up the scoreboard the way they did against Norfolk State or Miami, Ohio. And okay, maybe I was wrong. Entering the season, I was excited about the potential of the Hawkeyes having a new and improved offense. It is what it is, a heavy ground game, over 44 rushing attempts per contest, chewing up clock and leaning on field position. Typical. That approach limits possessions, slows pace, and makes every touchdown feel like a grind. Rutgers' run defense has not been great, but Iowa is not suddenly scoring 30 points in a Big Ten road game. The formula is straightforward. Iowa's pass rush shrinks Rutgers' passing game. Iowa's defense holds inside the 20, and Iowa's offense drains the clock on the ground. This one feels like a rock fight in a phone booth. Punt intended. Arizona State at Baylor, Saturday. Bet to make. Arizona State plus 2.5. On the surface, you think Baylor laying less than a field goal at home with that passing game? It sounds tempting, but this actually sets up perfectly for what the Sun Devils do best: run the ball straight at you. Arizona State has one of the top rushing offenses in the country, ranked top 5 by PFF, and it's not just volume. This group is explosive, with 28 runs of 10 or more yards already. Raleek Brown has averaged more than 8 yards a carry, and Sam Levitt adds another dimension as a mobile quarterback. When ASU's ground game gets downhill, defenses have not been able to get them off schedule. Baylor's run defense is disastrous, one of the worst front sevens in the nation, ranking 124th in rushing yards allowed and 81st in tackling. Auburn rolled up more than 300 rushing yards against them, and even an FCS opponent found lanes. If Baylor's defense can't stop first contact or wrap up, Arizona State can steal control and keep Baylor's passing threat watching from the sideline. Plus, ASU's defense stiffens in the red zone, allowing only 4 touchdowns on 9 trips. That means Baylor's drives could end in field goals, not 7 points. Add in that ASU has registered 11 sacks so far this season, while Baylor quarterback Sawyer Robertson was dropped 4 times by Auburn, and things are looking more clear. The edge and pressure could make all the difference when the Sun Devils mix run with well-timed blitzes or stunts. ASU can win this outright, so back the Devils this weekend. Around midday Saturday, Jackson Arnold will hop off a bus and walk into Gaylord Family Memorial Oklahoma Stadium. He will know his way around, but won't take the familiar route toward the home locker room. Nor will he put on the crimson and white Oklahoma jersey. Instead, he will suit up for Auburn and begin final preparations for a game brimming with emotion and nostalgia. Arnold, ESPN's number 2 recruit in the 2023 class, was supposed to be the next great quarterback at Oklahoma, which has produced 3 Heisman Trophy winners, a Heisman runner-up, and a series of All-League and All-America selections since 2015. But a rough 2024 season led him and the Sooners to part ways. He entered the transfer portal and found a new team. And like many transfers, Arnold will now line up against his former team. He's very mature and he doesn't give any credit to any noise or talk. Auburn coach Hugh Freeze said, "He's a pro. We all understand people might cheer for him, boo him, whatever it is. I think he's mentally strong." Arnold's situation has become a weekly occurrence around college football, even in the young 2025 season. Last week, Duke quarterback Darian Mensah returned to New Orleans and faced Tulane, the team he helped to a 9-2 start last season before landing an NIL deal with the Blue Devils that could pay him $8 million over 2 seasons. When Kansas State and Arizona met last Friday in Tucson, safety Gunnar Maldonado and wide receiver Trey Spivey were suiting up for different sets of Wildcats. Maldonado is in his first season at Kansas State after 4 with Arizona, and Spivey is in his first with Arizona after 2 with Kansas State. Earl Little Jr. transferred from Alabama after the 2023 season, slogged through a 2-10 campaign with Florida State last fall, and then opened this season on August 30th against his former team, recording a team-high 9 tackles as the Seminoles stunned the Crimson Tide. Transfer reunions are now baked into this era of college football, requiring a delicate yet intentional approach from all those involved as they try to not only get through the games, but come out with wins. This is not new. Duke coach Manny Diaz told ESPN before the Tulane game, "There have been guys through the years we've had that have faced a former team, and certainly in pro sports, this happens all the time. If you deny the emotional part, then you know you're doing yourself a disservice. But once you recognize that the emotions are what they are, then it's still just a game." When a transfer reunion looms, coaches and players are constantly taking the emotional temperature. Florida State's Little had to hear about the Alabama game throughout the offseason. "I had people coming for my neck every day, talking about the big game or what I was going to do and everything, but I didn't listen to the outside noise," he said. Arnold, who didn't meet with reporters this week, had a similar response when asked about Oklahoma following Auburn's win against South Alabama. He said he's not on social media, joking that "there's no noise for me." The emotional component is heightened for these games and cannot be ignored. Texas coach Steve Sarkisian kept an eye on defensive lineman Hero Kanu in the lead-up to the season opener at Ohio State. The team Kanu played for in 2024. "I try to get a pretty good sense of the feel for our players throughout the summer, throughout fall camp," Sarkisian said. "Then I try to monitor the player that game week, and if I feel like they're getting out of character, I address it. If I feel like they're practicing well, they're being themselves, I don't address it. Sometimes you can make something out of nothing when you start to do things like that." With Hero, "I thought he was in a great place going into the game, and I thought he played well in the game. I never addressed it with him one time." Freeze didn't play college football, but he has been through an experience similar to what Arnold will go through this week. As Liberty's coach in 2021, he returned to Ole Miss, where he coached from 2012 until being fired shortly before the 2017 season. "That whole week, it was a challenge for me not to think about some of that," Freeze said. "I know the same will be true for Jackson. My advice to him is to just keep the focus on our team. That was my advice to myself. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about our team preparing to go into play." Little focused on keeping a calm mind when he arrived at Doak Campbell Stadium for the opener against Alabama. When Florida State's defensive backs began warm-ups, he ran into some former Alabama teammates and others from the program whom he knew from his time there. They briefly exchanged greetings. "No bad blood at all. It was all good vibes," Little said. Weeks after Stanford fired coach Troy Taylor, wide receiver Tiger Bachmeier and his younger brother Bear, an incoming freshman quarterback, entered the transfer portal. As BYU came into focus as their likely destination, the Bachmeier brothers immediately noticed that the team would be hosting Stanford in Week 2. As soon as BYU finished its season-opening win against Portland State, Tiger Bachmeier sensed what was coming. "You start to get a bit of anxiousness, not nervousness or nastiness," he said. "You can't really explain it. There's something eerie and weird about the feeling." Although Bear Bachmeier would end up starting for BYU, he had been at Stanford for only a few months. Tiger, meanwhile, had started 13 games for the Cardinal and earned his computer science degree there in 2.5 years. You build lasting relationships, and then when you pull the plug on that, it's definitely an emotional thing, Tiger Bachmeier said. It was more detached for Bear. Arizona coach Brent Brennan said it's important to recognize that transfers have a range of experiences with their former teams and those they left behind. When reunion games come around, his message is the same. Regardless of how things went before, the focus must remain on the current team and its mission. Like other coaches, Brennan doesn't amplify the situation, but he doesn't ignore it either. It might be a simple one-off conversation at the beginning of the week and then a reminder somewhere late in the week, Brennan said. You're trying to keep them locked into the team and what the team needs from them on that day, and just trying to help them navigate any of the emotions they might have, and not letting that become either a distraction for your team or detrimental to their own play. Coaches are tasked with getting every player ready to perform on game days. They're also trying to gain every advantage possible, including potential intel on the opponent. I would say there probably is information gathering, Florida coach Billy Napier said, while adding, "Not that you would talk about it publicly." Last week, Arkansas faced an Ole Miss team that added 3 Razorbacks transfers in the offseason. Offensive lineman Patrick Kutas, cornerback Jalen Braxton, and tight end Luke Haz. Offensive lineman Kavion Broussard, meanwhile, came to Arkansas from Ole Miss and has seen action this season. The transactions could have impacted both teams in their preparation, especially since Arkansas and Ole Miss have the same head coaches and primary coordinators from 2024. I'm sure that there's conversations going on about calls and teaching and how we did things here, maybe. Also, are conversations going on? Arkansas coach Sam Pittman said before the team's 41-35 loss at Ole Miss, "It's not just Ole Miss. It's anybody that transfers where they could possibly help their team win a game. So we certainly understand that and are aware of that. When coaches get information, they also must assess how much, if at all, to adjust their plans. There's a fine line in there, and sometimes you can start to outsmart yourself," Sarkisian said. "Every team you play knows that they have a player that is a former player on your team. And then, okay, what do we need to change? What do we need to adjust? Sometimes you can get that information, and then a coach can outsmart you. I just think you have to be careful when it comes to trying to get information for former players from a school, assuming they know that player and they can outfox us." How Oklahoma coach Brent Venables defends Arnold will be a major subplot to Saturday's game. On Tuesday, Venables applauded Arnold's early success with Auburn after a 2024 season in which he eclipsed 200 passing yards just once. Venables said he sees the same guy with a healthy football team around him, referring to the surge of injuries that hit Oklahoma's wide receiver group and other areas of the offense last fall. The coach also downplayed the potential advantage he will have in scheming against his former quarterback. "Guys can change from one year to the next," Venables said. "There's a lot that you don't know because you're not with them for the last 8 months. Jackson's one of the most talented players in all of college football. He's got throw, he's got a big arm, he can run, he's got a great capacity intellectually and great leadership skills. He's been a winner his whole life. So I don't think there's any kind of advantage whatsoever. He saw our defense every single day in practice, so there's going to be a familiarity to that."
It was the middle of June. The San Diego Padres were in town for what promised to be a heated series against the Los Angeles Dodgers, and Joe Musgrove, their injured ace, had one thing on his mind: securing a signed Clayton Kershaw jersey. Major League players often send each other jerseys for personalization, to commemorate friendship or admiration or even milestones. But Musgrove had done that only a handful of times in his 9 years as a major leaguer. All for former teammates he was once close with, never for a prominent member of the Padres' biggest rival. "This is the first that I've sent one over in admiration for what someone has done for the game," said Musgrove, who grew up a Padres fan before ultimately pitching for the club. "I know he's flooded with them now, and it might seem like a lot, but he's made a big impact on this game, not only as a player, but for the way he handles himself." Kershaw will make his final regular season start at Dodger Stadium on Friday, in what we now know will be one of the last appearances of his career. But even before the news of his impending retirement became official Thursday, the likelihood of it was high enough for Major League Baseball to extend him a special invitation to this year's All-Star Game, and for a number of opposing players to seek opportunities to pay respect in their own way, whether it's offering praise, expressing gratitude, or, often, seeking autographs. Kershaw, 37, has noticed that jersey requests have slightly increased from years past, but stressed it's nothing crazy. Sometimes a home series will go by and nobody will ask. Others, he'll be flooded with them. "It's like they all talk," Kershaw said. He signs them all, either by listing his accomplishments: 3x NL Cy Young, 2014 NL MVP, 2x WS champ, as he wrote on one for Colorado Rockies starter Kyle Freeland, or scribbling a brief message. In his mind, it wasn't long ago that he was on the other side, It's amazing how fast that flips, you know. Kershaw told ESPN last week, "You don't think that you're the old guy until it happens, and then you are. It happens fast." When Kershaw signed his fourth consecutive one-year contract with the Dodgers in March, he was considered a luxury. Blake Snell and Roki Sasaki had already been added. Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Tyler Glasnow were coming back healthy. Shohei Ohtani was on track to return as a two-way player. The likes of Emmett Sheehan, Tony Gonsolin, and Dustin May were next in line. But when Kershaw rejoined the rotation in the middle of May, in the wake of off-season knee and toe surgeries, he helped stabilize a staff that had once again absorbed an avalanche of injuries. In August, as the Dodgers' rotation began to round into form, he found another level, winning all 5 of his starts while posting a 1.88 ERA. Kershaw is throwing the slowest fastball of his career, offsetting it with a slider that oftentimes lacks its traditional bite and resorting to more inventiveness than ever, even with the occasional eephus pitch. And yet his record is 10-2, and his ERA is 3.53. He's making jokes about how he's only throwing 86, 87, and he's still getting outs. San Francisco Giants starter Logan Webb said, "To me, that's the most impressive thing." Webb was a 12-year-old in Northern California when Kershaw made his major league debut. His high school years coincided with a 4-year stretch from 2011 to 2014 that saw Kershaw claim 3 Cy Young Awards and an MVP, accumulate 72 regular season victories, tally 895 and 1/3 innings, and establish himself as one of the greatest of his era. Competing against him, as a fellow frontline starter on a division rival, hasn't taken any of the shine away, said Webb. "He seems to amaze me every single time." 2 months ago, Webb shared an all-star team with Kershaw for the first time and was adamant about securing a jersey from him, even though, he said, "I usually feel awful asking guys." On Friday, Webb will watch from the opposite dugout as Kershaw makes what might be the final Dodger Stadium appearance of his career, depending on how he factors into L.A.'s October plans. The Dodgers boast a 6-man rotation at the moment, and 2 of those members, Yamamoto and Snell, are basically guaranteed to start in a best-of-3 wild-card series. The 3rd spot would go to Ohtani, unless the Dodgers surprise outsiders by deploying him as a reliever. Then there's Glasnow, who was lavished with a $130 million-plus extension to take down important starts, and Sheehan, a promising right-hander who has been effective out of the bullpen. Kershaw wasn't healthy enough to contribute to last year's championship run and wants nothing more than to help with this one. But he's also realistic. "We'll see," Kershaw said. "We'll see what happens. My job is just to pitch well, whatever decision they make, or if I get to make a start or do whatever. They're going to make the best decision for the team. I'll understand either way. Obviously, making it hard for them is what I want to do." Dodgers manager Dave Roberts doesn't know what role Kershaw might play on a postseason roster, but he said there's a place for him on it. "The bottom line is I trust him," Roberts said. "And for me, the postseason is about players you trust." Andrew Abbott SAT'd alongside Cincinnati Reds teammate Chase Burns in Dodger Stadium's first base dugout on August 26 and couldn't understand what he was seeing. "Is that a changeup?" he asked. Kershaw famously doesn't throw many changeups, largely because he has never been confident in his ability to do so. But suddenly Abbott was watching him uncork a pitch that traveled in the low 80s and faded away from opposing right-handed hitters, the continuation of a split change he began to incorporate a couple years ago. To Abbott, it spoke to the ingenuity that has extended Kershaw's effectiveness. "He knows what he's doing," Abbott said. "He can just figure things out on the fly." The Reds' third-year starting pitcher had shared a clubhouse with Kershaw for the first time during the All-Star game in Atlanta this summer. He wanted so badly to pick his brain about pitch sequencing, but he also didn't want to waste Kershaw's time. He made small talk about their Dallas ties and left it at that. 6 weeks later, when the Reds visited Dodger Stadium, Abbott made it a point to provide a visiting clubhouse attendant with the Kershaw jersey to be sent to the other side for a signature. He already had one of Christian Yelich, who represented his first strikeout, Edwin Diaz, the brother of his former teammate, Alexis, Joey Votto, a Reds legend, and Aaron Judge, arguably the best hitter on the planet. Abbott initially didn't want to bother Kershaw, worried that he might just be adding to an overwhelming pile, but he couldn't run the risk of missing what might be his final opportunity. "I watched Kersh since I was a kid," Abbott said. "I mean, I was 9 when he debuted. I just like to have guys that I've watched and I've kind of idolized. Those are the ones I go after. It's cool that you're in the job with him, too." After spending the past 4 years pitching for 2 of their biggest rivals, first the Padres, then the Giants, Snell signed a 5-year, $182 million contract with the Dodgers over the offseason and told President of Baseball Operations Andrew Friedman that he wanted his locker next to Kershaw's. Snell's locker neighbored Kershaw's in spring training, and he now resides just 2 lockers down inside Dodger Stadium's newly renovated home clubhouse. As a fellow left-hander, Snell has tried to soak up as much as he can from watching Kershaw, specifically how he utilizes his slider. He has learned, though, that a lot of his success is driven by his mindset. He never gives in. Snell said, "He's a competitor, and you can't, train that or teach that. You either have it or you don't, and he's very elite at competing. The game comes, and he's the best version of himself." Snell arrived in the major leagues as a 23-year-old former first-round pick, but he did not believe he would stay very long, so he made it a point to gather as many personalized jerseys as he could. He already has 2 framed Kershaw jerseys hanging on an office wall littered with other sports memorabilia, but the end of his first year with the Dodgers has left him wondering if he has enough. Said Snell, "I might get me another one." To those who have observed Kershaw throughout his career, the thought that he would even allow himself to be mic'd up while pitching in a game, let alone revel in it, stood as a clear indication that this would probably be it. Roberts, who managed the National League All-Stars earlier this summer, noticed a more reflective, appreciative side to Kershaw even before he took the mound for his 11th Midsummer Classic. Roberts noticed it when Kershaw addressed his NL teammates before the game, reminding them this was an opportunity to honor those who got them there. He noticed it 13 days before that, on the night of July 2nd, when Kershaw finished a 6-inning outing with the 3,000th strikeout of his career and spilled onto the field to acknowledge the fans. Most of all, he's noticed it through the ease with which Kershaw seems to carry himself this season. "The edges," Roberts said, "aren't as hard anymore." He knows he's had a tremendous career, and I think that now he's making it a point. He's being intentional about taking in every moment. Kershaw allowed himself to savor his 3,000th strikeout, a milestone only 19 other pitchers have reached, and made a conscious effort to take in every moment at this year's All-Star Game. His wife, Ellen, and their 4 children have made it a point to travel for every one of his starts this season, even when Texas schools restarted earlier this month, adding a layer of sentimentality to the stretch run of his season. But for as much as Kershaw would like to soak in every inning remaining in his major league career, he can't. The season keeps going, the stakes keep ratcheting up, and Kershaw believes in the link between dismissing success and maintaining an edge. "The minute you savor, the minute you think about success, you're content," he said. But that also means he can't truly enjoy the end. There's a cruelty in that. "Yeah," Kershaw said, "but that's okay, because you want to go out competing, just like you always did. At the end of the day, being healthy, being able to compete and pitch well, being on a great team, that's all you can ask for. If you do all of the other stuff, you become content or satisfied or whatever it is, then it's all downhill."
As the dishes were served in Katowice, Poland, a salad for Los Angeles Lakers Governor Jeannie Buss, fish for Lakers President of Basketball Operations and General Manager Rob Pelinka, and a steak and vegetables plus a salad for the man they flew more than 6,000 miles to see, the Lakers' travelling representatives made it clear over a long lunch in late August that if something was important to Luka Doncic, then it was important to them too. The 26-year-old superstar was preparing to put his trimmed-down body, honed by months of intense workouts and dietary discipline, including a daily 16-hour fasting window, to the test for his national team, competing for Slovenia in Eurobasket a month ahead of training camp for the next NBA season. And the Lakers intended for their endorsement of him playing in Eurobasket to resonate, loud and clear. Luka has a tremendous amount of heartfelt pride and appreciation for his roots and playing for his country, Pelinka told ESPN. I just think in the partnerships we have with our players, the Lakers want to be mindful of players' passions and who they are as men, and then lean in and support those things. So around Luka, it was a very easy partnership decision that we wanted to support. Beyond the opportunity to build trust between the player who inked a 3-year, $165 million contract extension August 2 and Team Brass, Eurobasket was a chance for the organisation to establish best practices to align with its new star, an opportunity the team didn't have in the wake of February's shocking trade with the Dallas Mavericks. There was a group chat before and after every game that included Pelinka and Dr. Leroy Sims, the Lakers' Director of Player Performance and Health, and Lara Beth Seeger, Doncic's Chief Brand Officer and Business Manager, and Javi Barrio, Doncic's physiotherapist. The general tone of the Lakers' messages to Doncic's crew? Hey, whatever we can do to help, we're here, a source close to Doncic told ESPN. Dr. Sims made the trip to Poland, as did longtime Lakers stakeholders Kurt and Linda Rambis. Lakers assistant coach Greg St. Jean joined Slovenia's staff as an assistant and spent 40 days with the team through the tourney, with games in Slovenia, Germany, Poland and Latvia. The Lakers even made their equipment manager available as a resource for Slovenia, sources said, when Doncic's team needed gear.
As the Lakers cheered him on, Doncic dominated Eurobasket. He was named to the All-Star 5 for the tournament and averaged 34.7 points per game, the most by a player in a single Eurobasket since Nikos Galis averaged 35.6 points for Greece in 1989. Doncic recorded more points, 243, than minutes played, 233, and elevated his game in the knockout rounds, averaging 40.5 points in 2 win-or-go-home games. In Slovenia's 99-91 quarterfinals loss to Germany, the eventual gold medal winner, Doncic's team led for 26 of the 40 minutes. Germany trailed for only 18 minutes total in its 6 games in the tournament before facing Slovenia. The Lakers coaching staff, team sources said, was impressed with how Doncic was moving compared with how he played in the second half of last season, when he was slowed because of a lingering calf strain. His improvement showed in Doncic's quickness in splitting double teams. It showed in his lift off the floor. It even showed defensively, long a wart on what is already a Hall of Fame resume. At one point during the tournament, sources told ESPN, St. John showed a video edit of Doncic's defensive effort to Slovenia's coach Alexander Sekulic. St. John believed that Doncic, beyond his offensive brilliance, was the team's best defensive player too. The edit showed, possession by possession, Doncic's proper placement, communication with teammates and overall commitment. Pelinka saw it too and registered it as an advancement in Doncic's leadership ability. Players playing basketball in the off-season is something that, from a leadership standpoint, I support, Pelinka said. I think you could say in some sense that some of the off-season and sort of the current basketball lens, especially in the States, is on individual work, and I think that sort of the team environment can get lost. It was part of the cost-benefit analysis that Pelinka considered when endorsing Doncic's Eurobasket participation. Yes, more basketball and additional activity could put a player at risk of injury, a fear that came to fruition when a teammate fell into his leg against Latvia on August 16, and Doncic suffered a right knee contusion.
As a service to fans who have a general interest in WWE but might not have watched a match in months, we're happy to provide this FAQ as a guide to WrestlePalooza, which is Saturday at 7 p.m. ET from Gamebridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. ESPN's first premium live event with WWE, WrestlePalooza, is streaming exclusively in the U.S. for fans with subscription to the ESPN Unlimited plan, either directly or through a traditional pay TV package on the ESPN app. What is a WrestlePalooza? Back in 1995, the late, great Extreme Championship Wrestling had an idea. What if there was an event that took its name from Lollapalooza, but instead of a music festival featuring the Red Hot Chili Peppers, it was a wrestling show that featured the Public Enemy and the Gangstas In a tag team stretcher match, WWE, which acquired ECW and its trademarks in 2003, want to kick off its new ESPN rights deal with a special premium live event, PLE, that needed a memorable name. So WWE dipped into its deep bag of wrestling intellectual properties and decided on WrestleApalooza. Apologies to those who were hoping for barbed wire, hoodies, and choke slams, another ECW pay-per-view classic. Despite its roots, there aren't a lot of extreme wrestling matches on this weekend's WrestleApalooza. Just extremely interesting ones, such as John Cena continuing his retirement tour against the formidable Brock Lesnar. What has the John Cena retirement tour been like? Here's a summary of why the last time is now for Cena. Cena announced at Money in the Bank in July 2024 that he will retire as an in-ring performer at the end of 2025. His goal was gold. Cena was tied with Ric Flair for the most WWE World Championships, 16, and now the clock was ticking on breaking that record. He was eliminated by Jey Uso in the 2025 Royal Rumble in February, costing him a title shot, but won the subsequent Elimination Chamber match in March to earn a match against undisputed WWE Champion Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 41. Here's where things get a little weird. The Rock had finally come back to WWE to ask Rhodes to hand over his soul. He appeared at the end of Elimination Chamber with his henchman, rapper Travis Scott, told you it got weird, to collect said soul from Rhodes, who was in the ring with Cena. Rhodes, being rather fond of his soul, declined the Rock's offer, but in his desperation to break the record. Cena turned heel again after 2 decades as a babyface and joined an attack on Rhodes with The Rock and Scott. Thanks to interference from Scott, Cena beat Rhodes for the title at WrestleMania. Scott and The Rock wouldn't play a role during Cena's title reign. The angle gave us one of the most shocking heel turns in wrestling history, and a slew of moments where Cena tried on an ill-fitting heel persona, cutting promos about his disdain for the fans that he had consistently praised during the rest of his retirement tour. Luckily, Cena and WWE pumped the brakes on this persona in August on the SmackDown before SummerSlam, telling fans he realized that his reputation had been flushed down the toilet in pursuit of shocking TV. The people that were supposed to be on my team, they left. And they left me alone, trying to pretend that I'm something I'm not, Cena said. Cena entered SummerSlam at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey cheers, but Rhodes left with the championship. And that's where Brock Lesnar re-entered the picture. Fans were stunned when his music hit during Cena's farewell to SummerSlam. But Cena probably wasn't all that shocked when Lesnar delivered an F5 to him, given their history. Why does Brock Lesnar want to fight John Cena again? There are a few ways to answer that question. The first answer is that Lesnar, who hadn't been seen in WWE since 2023, just likes to beat people up. He attacked Cena and Sami Zayn during their U.S. title match on SmackDown recently. He attacked R-Truth, aka Ron Cena, when he touted up Cena. He's the beast incarnate. It's his nature. According to WWE Chief Content Officer Paul Triple H Levesque on the SummerSlam postgame show, Lesnar was on Cena's wish list of opponents who would help him write the last chapter of his book. Lesnar and Cena have wrestled only 6 times in one-on-one matches, with Lesnar holding a 4-2 advantage. The last match was at Night of Champions in 2014, which Cena won via disqualification against then-world champion Lesnar. Saturday's match will kick off WrestleApalooza, as announced Thursday on the Pat McAfee Show. Their legacies are intertwined. They got their starts in the developmental Ohio Valley wrestling scene, rising up to WWE superstar and champion status. Lesnar isn't as essential to the Cena story as, say, Randy Orton was, but he's a significant plot thread to tie up before Cena says goodbye. But the ultimate factor might be the Cena face turn. Our wrestling heroes need the odds stacked against them. They need seemingly insurmountable opponents to stare down in the ring. Cena admitted on Raw this week that he's afraid of Lesnar, but he said that the last real champion will take the fight to the beast in a final showdown between 2 generational titans. Man, that guy can hype a match, can he? What about WWE champion Cody Rhodes? Cody is facing Drew McIntyre for the undisputed WWE Championship. These two had a feud just over a year ago that culminated in a street fight on SmackDown. After Rhodes captured the title at SummerSlam, McIntyre attacked him on SmackDown with a Claymore kick through the side of the announcer's table, which was inventive. McIntyre would later argue that Rhodes attacked him first that night, a claim with modicum of validity, even though McIntyre's escalation of violence could hardly be called self-defense. McIntyre fancied that kick through the table so much that he was going to deliver one Orton a few weeks later on SmackDown, when Rhodes returned from injury for the save and to challenge McIntyre to a title match at WrestlePalooza. The announcers might want to sit in the skybox for this one, as there is zero chance their ringside table isn't going to be obliterated into sawdust. As Rhodes has noted, McIntyre is one of only 4 wrestlers, along with Cena, Lesnar, and Roman Reigns, to have defeated him in a singles match since he returned to WWE in 2022. Since you mentioned Roman Reigns, does WrestlePalooza have any bloodline action? Why, yes. For the first time on a PLE since 2023, Jay and Jimmy Uso are wrestling as a tag team as the Usos compete against Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, who are members of World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins' faction, The Vision. Reigns have been feuding with his Paul Heyman-backed group, suffering an attack that led to a singles match against Reed earlier this month at Clash in Paris. After Reigns was victorious, Reed and Breaker left him so beaten up that he'll be out several weeks while starring as Akuma in the new Street Fighter reboot. I mean, rehabbing that injury. On next Raw, Reed and Breaker were beating on LA Knight when Jimmy Uso made an ill-advised save. Jay Uso rushed the ring to save his brother, furthering the feud that has led to this tag match against the Vision. Important sidebar here. Knight and Jay Uso have a building beef that started with some miscommunication during a brawl with the Vision that left Jay getting flattened by Reed. Jay responded by delivering a spear to Knight, leaving Jimmy dumbfounded. After the two shook hands and seemingly made up a week later, Knight gave him the old Stone Cold Kick Boom Stunner combo and claimed the score was now even. Something tells me this animosity might just carry over to WrestlePalooza, who in an immortal struggle of YET versus. Yeah, is there a women's title match on the card? Yes, and it's for a championship that's currently vacant for a rather joyous reason. Reigning world champion Naomi announced that she and husband Jimmy Uso are expecting a child. She relinquished the title on August 18 and told the women's division they had 9 months before she returns to reclaim it. No word of her newborn will be worked into subsequent angles, with Naomi choking out opponents with a baby Bjorn. The new holder of that title will be determined at WrestlePalooza between Io Sky and Stephanie Vacker, who both have a claim to the championship. Sky was scheduled to challenge for the championship before Naomi announced her pregnancy. Vacker won a 20-woman battle royal at WWE Evolution in July to earn a title shot. Keep in mind, Sky dropped the title to Naomi in a triple threat match at Evolution that also featured Rhea Ripley. Those three ran it back at SummerSlam, where Sky again couldn't win back her title. Vacker, meanwhile, is chasing her first WWE Championship after reigning as NXT Women's Champion earlier this year. Exciting times in the women's division. And that's not even mentioning the former champion who dressed like a ninja and attacked CM Punk, or AJ Lee, who's wrestling at WrestlePalooza in her first match since 2015. AJ Lee is back in WWE. In the words of Kurt Angle, "Oh, it's true. It's damn true. For about 5 years, the sight of AJ Lee skipping out from the back with a mischievous grin meant something eventful was about to go down. She was an essential part of the Divas Revolution just over a decade ago, not only as one of the longest reigning title holders, but as the opposing force to the Total Divas reality television era. Please recall calling out the Bella Twins and others as ungrateful, stiff, plastic mannequins during a pipe bomb promo that no doubt endeared her to her husband and pipe bomb originator CM Punk, whom she married in 2014. Ever since Punk returned to WWE in November 2023, there's been speculation that Lee might also make her long-awaited wrestling comeback. Becky Lynch finally gave her a reason. At Clash in Paris, Punk faced Seth Rollins, who cashed in his Money in the Bank contract to win Punk's title at SummerSlam. Punk had Rollins hoisted up for a final GTS when a mysterious assailant emerged and decided it was clobbering time with Punk's lower extremities. Off came the black mask to reveal Lynch, marking the first time she aligned herself in the ring with Rollins, since he gave her a wedding ring in 2021. Lynch explained in a face-off with Punk that she and Rollins run WWE, and that Punk doesn't fit the vision, punctuating it with a slap to Punk's head. During that promo, fans started an AJ Lee chant, to which Lynch venomously snapped back, "She doesn't work here." Cut to SmackDown in Chicago a few days later. The fans are still chanting AJ Lee. Lynch is telling them to shut up. Punk informs her that he'd never put his hands on a lady, but thankfully, I've got someone who will, and then outskipped AJ Lee. The mixed tag team match between these four stars could be the showstopper and main event at WrestlePalooza. Punk and Rollins hate each other. Lynch and Lee are icons from different generations of the women's division. And now AJ has a receipt from Becky slapping her husband. It's got nastiness and drama and, let's not forget, a former women's champion competing in her first match since March 2015. One prediction we're comfortable making about WrestlePalooza. There will be a "You still got it" chant during this match.
Hey yo, ATL, stand up. You're locked in with the livest, realest, rawest talking the game. This is the Bro Code Podcast ATL, where the culture talks back, the vibes stay heavy, and the code always respected. Don't touch that dial. Keep it right here, because we breaking the code live from the A.